What is going on, guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be breaking down why Dawnbreaker has a 49.95% win rate. Honestly, a 50% win rate. This hero has fallen off grace from previous patches. This hero used to be a lot stronger, but it still has a lot of power potential, especially if you know how to play the hero properly. Now, not that the hero is very difficult to use or anything like that, but hitting key timings on this hero is always going to be very important. Like any other strength hero, you benefit a lot from items like phase boots and bracers. And you can practically play this hero from 3 different positions pretty much optimally. You can play it as a very occasional mid laner, you can play it as a position for support, and as an offlaner. I have played some carry Dawnbreaker lately. I would not recommend it. It feels really terrible. Like, the hero's just very slow, because if you don't win your lane pretty heavily and you don't get a lot of kills, or at least a few kills early on, you're not really the slowest farmer, but you're not really crazy, and you don't build items like Battle Fury or Maelstrom. I guess you could build a Maelstrom, but you don't have the attack speed, so you're forced to go for treads, which kind of feels bad. And I think on carry Dawnbreaker you kind of need the treads, especially if you're going to be using this solar charged facet, which means every time you hit a target with a luminosity strike, it decreases all your cooldowns by 1 second, which is pretty much everyone's favorite facet of the Dawnbreaker. It's pretty much the best one. So the more right clicks you get out, the more your cooldowns are going to be decreased, which is always going to be very nice. And your cooldowns aren't crazy long. Sometimes they can feel pretty detrimental, so this facet will be better for you to be more active. I think her ultimate is not as good as it used to be before, not even close. I think it's pretty detrimental to her kit, and she just doesn't feel that great, honestly. But 50% is nothing to scoff at. It's nothing crazy, but 50% is always going to be pretty decent. You're pretty much going 50-50 on every game you're going to be playing on the Dawnbreaker. It's still a lot of fun to be playing this hero, and some games where they don't have a lot of lockdown or a lot of stuns, you can have a really good time on this hero. It still does a heck of a lot of damage, but your Celestial Hammer is pretty much the way to go. You're going to be maxing that out. That's going to help you farm a lot more. It's going to help you bridge the gap to reach other targets in the backline, and that damage is always going to be pretty cool. Let's break down the build. So typically on Dawnbreaker, you guys want to build Phase Boots, Mage Slayer, Echo Saber, Shard into AC BKB. That's pretty much the standard build. Mage Slayer is obviously going to be really good against high magical items or heroes that like to cast a lot of spells. It's going to be a good Mage Slayer game. If it's not a good Mage Slayer game, then substitute that for the Echo Saber and then go for an item like Desolator if you do need some damage. You could build auras on the Dawnbreaker. Don't sleep on auras this patch. Pretty much anyone that can build auras is going to have a really good time. It just feels really nice to have auras. So if your team does need an aura buyer, you're not the best one out there, but it is pretty decent if you're getting items like Vlad's, Pipe, Guardian Greaves, because mana boots on this hero is actually really nice. It doesn't feel like a grief to actually buy it. You're not going to be doing a whole lot of damage, but you will be spell casting quite a bit because this hero has a ton of mana issues. So items like Falcon Blade or a Soul Ring are going to be very, very detrimental to your kit if you plan on being active, because farming on this hero just doesn't feel that great to AFK. You want to be playing around your team. You want to be fighting as much as possible. It's not an AFK type hero. It's a very active type hero. So if you don't like active heroes, don't play Dawnbreaker. This is pretty much a hero that likes to be in the enemy's face constantly as much as possible. Overall, I think the hero's probably a few patches away from being meta again. Maybe in the next patch they will maybe try and go for a buff for the Dawnbreaker. That would be really nice. I'd like to see Dawnbreaker being meta again. I think that would be really cool and spice up the meta a little bit. Dawnbreaker metas are usually pretty fun because it's more of a death ball meta. Even though this meta is kind of death ball, it just doesn't suit the Dawn as much. She's not getting as much value. I think it's due to her ultimate just not being as strong as it used to be, because the hero's kit is still good. Like, you're landing Star Storms and your Celestial Hammer, you're doing the damage. It's just the ultimate I feel like is lacking. So maybe a few buffs to the ultimate, and that might make a pretty big difference to the hero's kit. Let's break down some of the best and worst matchups for the Dawnbreaker. Some of the best ones are Naga Siren, Legion Commander, Meepo, Tusk, Spectre. You're good up against all these heroes. You do pretty well against them. I feel like Legion is one of the harder matchups. Same with Meepo. You do a lot of damage to the Meepo, but Meepo is just going to be healing so much. And if he's Mega Meepo'd, you're not going to be doing a whole lot to the hero. So it's kind of more of an early game type advantage for you. It's not a huge advantage. And heroes like Naga Siren, yeah, do get shredded by Dawnbreaker. It's just a lot of magical damage coming her way. And if you build an item like Gleipnir, you're going to be doing even more to the Naga. So it's just not a great matchup for Naga. Spectre also gets destroyed by the Dawnbreaker, especially in lane. He just can't do a whole lot to the hero. And if you build an item like Mage Slayer plus Blade Mail, there's very few heroes in the game that are going to be able to go toe to toe against you. But heroes like Legion Commander, once they get Blade Mail and they do duel you, you might have some issues here and there. So so definitely be careful with that. Some of the worst matchups are Nyx Assassin, Slaughter, Puck, Lycan, Silencer. So Silencer obviously can cancel your ultimate, but heroes like Nyx Assassin can just make your life a living hell. They're going to burn your mana. They're going to do a whole lot of damage to you, and that's not great because your mana pool is already pretty shitty as it is. Hence why you build items like Mage Slayer and items like Echo Saber. They're not only strong, they also give you mana regen, which is very, very important for this hero to be able to cast as many spells as possible and do as much in the fights, because without mana, you're practically absolutely useless in a team fight. But heroes like Slaughter, Puck, Lycan, they just run you over. It feels really difficult to be playing against a Slaughter because not only are they able to see you, you're just not going to have any armor going for you, and that's a pretty big problem because you're a strength hero. You definitely don't have a lot of armor going for you, so items like AC are going to help you, but not as much. There's just not a whole lot you do against a Slaughter matchup. It's pretty difficult. You pretty much go for counter initiation rather than focusing down the Slaughter as much and try and come in second rather than be that initiator, because the Slaughter will burst you and pretty much delete you if he has some backup. Let me know what you guys think about Dawnbreaker in the comments. Do you guys want it to be a Dawnbreaker meta again? And if you guys are Dawnbreaker spammers, let me know what you guys think needs to be changed for this hero to be viable again, more often than not, because you can still play the hero. It's not a grief, but I would like to know what would you guys change about Dawnbreaker to be able to become full-blown meta again, maybe 52-53% win rate. That would definitely be very cool. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys learned something, consider subscribing and joining the Dota Chronicles community. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.